it took the Americans out of the game completely, because they were just horrified by the fact that, we did go to Russia, which is diametrically opposed to the Americans' thoughts, and so that record company was pulled as well.
I just want to fast forward slightly as well, just to 1989, just because it's quite interesting with everything that's going on in the world today. Peace in our time. At that time, 1989, the world was changing as well, and there was some interesting ways to promote the record, playing at Soviet embassy, going out to the Soviet Union and playing. So take me to that time. Take me to who came up with those ideas, and what did you think about the plans to do the Soviet thing when it was presented to you the first time? What were your thoughts on it?
Well, it was bizarre because we just spent 4 months in Los Angeles recording an album with somebody who we didn't know, because the whole project was US led at the time. And again, this is part of the record company thing that went through big countries' DNA at the time. We were the British labels were just not interested in what we were doing. Ian Grant went to America, got American interest. I mean, we got interest from Warner Brothers, I think it was. So it was then predetermined that we would work in America, maybe cynically to try and crack the American market or whatever. But what we were writing at the time, which would become Peace in Our Time, again, was really electrifying for us, because we were coming up with some great stuff. And it was a lot more varied, and there's lots more tempo changes, a lot more sort of emotional subjects being dealt with. And our demos of that time are still regarded as the best set of demos that we've ever done. Trouble is, we had to re-record it for the Americans, and we did record it, but we got given a producer who really didn't have any concept of what the group was. He used to be keyboard player, was Frank Zappa. And I'm toiling to remember his name now. But he was very LA. For the first day we got into the studio with him, and he told us all to go away. Got Mark to set up his kit, and then told us to go away. We came back the next day. Mark had cotton wool stuck in every orifice of his drum kit. Now, this is like taking your virgin 9-year-old child and sticking. You don't do that sort of thing, and it was just punishing to watch, and it destroyed Mark. We're supposed to be making an album. This guy does something like that, and it's just like, wow, this is the wrong way to deal with this group of people, because it was just, it was. I can't even think of the words. And so we sort of struggled through the recordings, and there's some stages when because he had this machine which was quite popular at the time called the Synclavier, which could replicate all different sounds and stuff like that. And soon, the guys would be cutting a track, and then he'd get on the set, and maybe it should go a little bit like this, and it was kind of, whoa. We're not REO Speedwagon. We're not any of those sort of big trite, American artists. We are what we are, and we struggled with this recording. I remember when we came to record a track called "King of Emotion," and he said to me, which is not something I would really want to hear out of anybody, it's coming out of their mouths, but he said, "Hey, Tony, you need to make this more black." I wanted to go home by this time. I had enough of that attitude. Let's just be us. Let's just work and do what we needed to do. Anyway, so we finally struggled through the recording. Relatively pleased what we recorded, but then again, they got this guy to come and mix it. And as far as we were concerned, this guy must have been completely and utterly tone deaf, because it sounded horrible. And then we were sort of then told that there's discussions and talks about, kicking the whole thing off by going to Russia, which was diametrically opposed to everything that was going on, and particularly with the Americans. I mean, couldn't see the American record company wanting to get involved with anybody or anything,
Yes.
because but the whole idea was a concept which was endorsed by Ian Grant at the time in order to sort of bring some sort of real prominence to the promotion of it. Anyway, so this whole sort of thing started moving forward in that direction, starting off with the performance we did at the Russian embassy, which was a weird thing. You know, this old dilapidated buildings in the centre of London, central London. Stuart having to go on News at 10 to talk about it when he plainly didn't want to be there. He just looked so uncomfortable. And then we did this, and then there was all the sort of press stuff. And this was all everybody wanting us to do something in order to elevate us to U2 standard and status. And it just didn't seem comfortable for any of us. And then eventually going to Moscow to do it, because this was all put together by a guy who developed the first what's the name of that big music hamburger place in central London?
Oh, the Hard Rock Cafe, is it that one?
Hard Rock Cafe, yeah. This guy he brought the Hard Rock Cafe to Moscow, and it was all part of the Glasnost sort of vibe. So getting over there was all part and parcel of it. And then we get over there, followed by about 250 journalists. And then we go and got on stage, and the first night we play our first chord, and then we drained 3/4 of the Moscow electricity grid. So the show was put on hold for about an hour and a half whilst they tried to sort out the electrics. And we kind of thought to ourselves, man, if anything else could go wrong, this is what would go wrong. And then the stories that came out about it were just, it wasn't the sort of big sort of promotional bang that they were. What came out of it seemed like a sorry state at somebody having a go at doing some big PR sort of thing, and it just didn't go anywhere. And it wasn't embarrassing, but it just goes to show you when you're trying to force a square plug into a round hole, sometimes it won't work.
Indeed.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I don't look upon that time. I mean, I'm glad of the opportunity to go to Moscow, and we did some stuff there which was enjoyable, but as a concept, it wasn't very promising, and it certainly wasn't going to put the band where other people thought we were. And also, it took the Americans out of the game completely, because they were just horrified by the fact that we did go to Russia, which is diametrically opposed to the Americans' thoughts. And so that record company was pulled as well.